Alright, we're getting ready to work on this bike again. Getting ready to put on the brake assembly here. So we got a new master cylinder. Here's the old brake pedal assembly. So this thing's pretty loose here. Got a bunch of flops around. Half of that's on the stud here in the bushing. And the other half is the actual studs loose here in the backing plate. So this riveting here has come loose. So we can either try to re-rivet this thing, which easy ones if it's destroying everything. Well, I'm going to go ahead and braze this thing in here. So I have better luck just brazing these things in. You can braze it or you can weld it. Your choice. If you braze it, you can probably get underneath here a little bit, let the braze soak in, get a little bit better bonding to it. So I'm going to go ahead and try that. And then the stud here doesn't really look like it's worn too awful much. Still relatively round, not a bunch of low spots in it. It's worn a little bit, but not too awful bad. So these things are never perfectly tight anyway. The other problem is the clevis and stuff is all pretty loose, which is over here. So this is the clevis piece. So the hole doesn't look like it's too rounded out. This hole doesn't look too bad. This looks pretty bad. So even when you replace that piece with a new one, right here, and you bolt it all back together, it's still pretty loose because everything on this thing is loose. So you can see how much looseness you still have even though you put a brand new pin in it. The reason that is because every hole size in here is loose. So even though this hole here looks round, it's nice and loose. This one here, same thing. Even though it's round, it's nice and loose. So what they do is make an oversized pin, but they don't do that. So you're stuck with what you got. So this isn't really worn out, it's just made really loose. So like I said, you can either put an oversized pin in it, which they don't really offer, or you can weld up the holes and remake it. So this one's pretty loose all over, so I'm going to go ahead and order up a new one of these. He's going to want to chrome it anyway. I'm going to put a new pin in it. I'm just going to leave the rest of it the way it is. It's not worth the hassle trying to weld all this up and fix it. And that'll destroy the chrome anyway, so. And the hole, like I said, the hole is round. It's not ovaled out, so it's not like it was worn more than what they made it for. But I'm going to go ahead and fix this piece. So I'm going to go ahead and weld this all up here. This other piece here is riveted in, but appears to be still tight. I don't have any movement here on this one, so that feels good. So I'm going to go work on that, get that done. Want to get the seat mounted up on there. I got the new seat mounting kit here. Got new footboard studs there if I need those. So I got to get that all done. We're waiting for the heavy-duty spring set to come in for the seat post. That'll be a couple more days probably. And then the buddy seat springs, got those coming too to go in the back of that. They go back here, take out these plugs, and it goes right here. And that'll give it some more tension, and then I can get to the gas tanks on it. But until you get the seat all and that stuff up all on here, you can't do the tanks. So kind of on hold. So the brakes are the biggest thing to try to get done. So I'm going to go ahead and braze this up. So I'll come back and see what it looks like after I get it brazed. Okay, I got this all brazed up. It's pretty hot still. I scraped off most of the burnt zinc plating that was on there. Galvanized and whatever the hell it was. Probably stuff you're not supposed to be breathing. And I got it brazed in there, sweated in pretty good all the way around the whole thing. I went in and got the stop pin too just to make sure it was in there good. Nothing bled all the way through, so we'll let that cool off, and then I'll put a little silver paint on that, and I'll put that up on the bike. But for now, I can't do much with it; it's too hot. I'll have to work on something else. So we go to oil filters. So we have a couple different designs here of filters to play with. We have the stock filter right here, which has a kind of a hog hair type foam crap in there. Not very good filter material. Pretty small. That's stock. This here's the paper pleated one that replaces the one that's in there. So that gives you a lot better filter, a lot more area to actually filter something with. So So that's good. And then this is the next version, which eliminates this whole can completely and just does a big drop in. And obviously that's a lot longer and a lot bigger in diameter. This gives you a lot more filter area, so this pretty much doubles the filter area probably, which is good. The negative is it doesn't have a hole in it. What's Scooby doing over here? Scooby come for a visit. So the disadvantage of this is the dipstick gets in the way, which is sitting right in here right now, getting full of oil. Oop, making a mess. Making a mess on the bike. Alright, so this here sticks through. So right here where it says danger, you got another 1.5 inches below that. That's too long to go all the way through here. So this goes on there like that. See, it gets away at the bottom of the can. So if you want to do that, you have to cut this thing off. So the first thing to do is you cut it off about where the D in the danger is. That's a good starting point. And then if you need more than that, then you can cut a little extra. So go ahead and cut that off a little bit. Customer said he wanted to upgrade, so we're going to upgrade. Get my crappy tripod over here. Somebody woke up Scooby. Alright. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut this thing off. First thing I'm going to do is clean the oil off of it. I don't want to grind it because it's full of oil, because it's inside your oil tank. Not a good place to be grinding. So these you can just cut off with your dikes. So we'll try that. See how that works. Oop. Oh, it fell off. It's now shorter. We shortened it by, about that much. Didn't need that on there anyway, right? Okay. So now we only got danger. So I'm going to take this and file it a little bit to deburr it. You can't see what I'm doing, see? The rag's keeping the crap from getting where the oil is over here. Switch over to a fine file. Alright, wipe that off. So that's all radiused and deburred, so it doesn't poke anybody and hurt anybody. Take our filter, take our tingus there, and make sure that can go all the way down in there. So that buries it in there pretty deep. Not sure how far that thing has to go down, but it's completely compressed in the spring, so it should be close enough. If you see a dimple in here when you're trying to put the lid on it, then you know you're not quite enough. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and use this here now. So, probably getting stuck over here. Alright, so now you go up on top of the tank is here. It's way too close. Yeah, you got me in the picture now. How'd that happen? We don't want pictures of me, we want pictures of the bike. Okay, first thing I gotta get the plastic off of this damn thing. Like that. There's supposed to be an O-ring that goes in here we gotta find someplace. If you look in the box, there's one buried in the bottom. There it is. And make sure don't forget to put that on there. That's what seals up the oil tank so the oil actually goes through the filter. If you don't have that, the oil can just bypass and not go in your filter. Kind of important. Drops down in there. Now if this thing leaks after you put it in, that means you're probably bottomed out. So go all the way to one way. Go over and see what we're doing. So on these big cans here, big lids, you got to put them down, push them down, rotate them until they stop, and then you tighten this down. That's what puts pressure on it. You don't have to break it, but put it in tight. Now if it leaks, then you know you got a problem. Oh, I broke my nail again. Look at that. Alright, so that should be good. So if, like I said, if we see any kind of an oil leak in here, we know we got an issue, we got to deal with it. Okay, so that takes care of our oil tank. So I got one more thing fixed. So let's keep knocking different projects off. Now all that flat spot we were having when the bike was running, last time we ran it, all of a sudden it quit doing it. So I'm not sure what the hell happened, but something has changed. So either there was a piece of crap in the fuel system, it got in the jet down internally in here and plugged up the circuit and it finally sucked it through, so now it opened up. Or something happened down here in the ignition that changed. I don't know, something changed, because now it takes the throttle right off idle. Before it was a big flat spot. Not sure what happened. So we'll start this thing up again and see if the problem's gone away. If not, I'm going to have to go into the carburetor in here and deal with it. He's already talking about rebuilding one of his carburetors and putting all this fancy CAD plated stuff up on here. This is just silver painted. So I got a bunch of CAD plating had done. So we'll see if that materializes or not. For now, the brakes are more important, so gotta deal with this. It's still pretty warm. Definitely warms your hands up for the night. Good hand warmer. Problem is it'll burn the hell out of you too, so you gotta be careful. So this is waiting to be addressed. I have to find some hardware to go on here too to hold it all on. So that'd be another thing I gotta deal with. This thing's kind of hot. You can see where I scraped off with a wire brush. I take it to the old shop and blast it, but I ain't got time to do that, so we're just gonna paint it before we do this. How's the fumes back here? It was kind of fumy. Kind of fumy. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and get a custom paint job here. You should turn the light on. Now let there be light. Official color, silver. Works good. If you can't hold on to it, it's probably too hot to paint. And a little hot still. I'm also using an oily rag to hold it with, so I'm sure that doesn't affect how good it sticks to it. Sure there's no disadvantage of that. So maybe we'll wipe it off with something a little cleaner this time. Yeah, here, this looks cleaner. Yeah, it's only got a little bit of oil on it. So you gotta find a spot that's not covered with oil. Alright. Still hot. It's gonna cook the bacon on. Oh yeah. And if we paint inside, keeps the paint. That way we get all the fumes on top of the bike, so we're trying to stay clean. Alright, that seems appears to be painting pretty good. So where's my paint hook? Paint hook right here. Looks like a bungee cord. Let's take this show out to the outside. What are you doing out there, Scooby? You looking for a rat out here? Huh? There's a rat out there? Scooby's looking for a rat. He's always looking for a rat. Alright, that coat's getting dried on. Hot. Still warm. Looking pretty good. The rag's not very good for doing that with. So you can watch what I'm doing. I'm wiping the paint off. Polishing towel here. It's more like stick and pull. You can't even see the color change, see? There we go. My hook. There. Rag was stuck on there pretty good. Alright, I think I got most of where I wanted it. Just the top here. Okay. Looks pretty good. Go with it. Alright, I'll let that dry. We'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back here on the bike. Okay, this is still a little soft, but the paint's sort of dried. So that's what it looks like right now. So we got our brake pedal here. Paint took up some of the slack. Got a nice large diameter washer to catch on the side of the brake lever, keep it on. We're just going to run a 3/8 or 7/16 lock nut on there. So we'll put that on there like that. A couple 3/8 bolts here that go into the frame. Hold it all on. Put those on. Need some Loctite for that. Different Loctites. Different applications. Okay. So I'm going to take some of my Trobodyne grease here. Yeah, that one. What's left out of the container here. Gotta get that good stuff out of there, see? It's probably never gonna be lubed in its life again, so might as well put some good stuff in there. Usually how these things go. Mixes real good with the rust in the inside of the hole. I'm almost out of it now. A little bit left. Just enough to get in the hole some more. All right. Should be good. We've got a spring that goes on here. return spring. So it goes from here to here. So need to make that go on. So easy to put them on like this. That way you can pre-assemble it and drop it down. Works pretty good. Yeah, it returns. That's a good sign. Our washer here. Not much lubricant on the inside of it. Don't think there's enough to get any more out of this. I think we're done with this container. There's my heavy-duty marine grease. Put that over here on the pedal. Try to keep it off the threads, obviously. Take a little red Loctite, put that on the nut. Probably 50-50, I'll be back into this again. Okay, I'm using a lock nut, but it's going to barely even touch it. Yeah. Goes. So you only got about that much thread, so it's about 1.5 threads of actually engagement on the locking part. One turn. Okay. Still moves. It's good. Okay, now the pedal, the bolts that hold it to the frame, I'm going to use blue Loctite on them. It's these ones. Actually, only one of those goes through. The other one I can use a different bolt, I think. Trying to remember. No, this takes these all the way through. Too many custom bikes I've been working on. Stock ones you have 2 separate bolts. Custom bikes, when the mouse and the bolts holds it on. Plus it's a panhead, not a shovel head, so a little different. I'm not sure if this is below or top. I think it goes below the bracket. Now make sure these bolts do not bottom out on the frame. If they do, then you don't get much holding power. It is a master cylinder bolt. I thought it was. So this bolt here I just put on is going to be it's not going to be used. It takes a longer bolt. Okay, so now I'm going to try to torque this one down. We'll have access to it. Official Harley torque there. Alright, that one's on. So this bolt comes out. So take a long bolt that goes all the way through the whole master cylinder. It goes right there. And more likely there's going to be a couple spacers involved. Shim it out a little bit. You got to make sure that the plunger lines up with the master cylinder right here. So you want this to go straight. You don't want it to be offset like this. If it's offset like this, it pushes sideways on the piston and tears it all up. It needs to go pushing dead straight in both directions, not this way, not that way. Sometimes they're like this. That's not how they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be dead straight. So make sure they're straight in both planes. If not, adjust. Okay, now this here, I don't have the part I want right now. So this will be coming back off again. And I can already see that I should have put this on beforehand. Told you it's 50-50 taking that back off. It's going to be like 100% now. We'll leave that washer off for now, it doesn't matter. So now I'll put this in here and see how it lines up. Okay, this is definitely going to take a spacer of some type. Looks like about a 1/4 inch. Which is what they're supposed to be, as I remembered anyway. Alright. So look through our pan here for something looks like we need for spacers. It looks like these might work. There's a couple of these here. These aren't quite the right width. I think these are a little bit short. But we'll see if they do the trick though. They might work. We'll see. We're also going to need 2 bolts to go through here. One's a footboard stud. Here's our footboards. So you got left and a right. So this is the one that goes through the master cylinder. And here's a couple spacers. These look like maybe they're supposed to be for the master cylinder. Thinking those might be the ones. These are nice boards. You can say Harley on them. Probably original. Yes, these do look like the right ones. Okay. For now I'm just going to use a couple mock-up bolts to just see how this works in there. So you take your 2 spacers, put them on the swing on the master cylinder, see if they line up. Okay, looks like it lines up pretty good. Let's see if I can get this where you can actually see in here. So, see how the push rod here is now straight with the pedal. And I got those little spacers. They look like about 3/16 tall. So that lines everything up like it's supposed to be. This isn't a permanent installation because I got a new push rod coming. Should be here tomorrow. But tomorrow's not tonight, so we'll make do with what we got. This is going to go through here and then it goes in the back of the frame here for your footboard mount. Of course it's nice and rusty. Get off some of the rust. Everything falls off. That one I don't care about. This one I do. It keeps falling off. And the other spacer just fell off. Yep, it's hard to get good help these days. Drop everything 15 times. footboard's being a pain. Alright, I can't mock it up with this without the correct hardware. Okay, so we're going to figure out what the correct bolt is that goes in here. We know it's going to be coarse thread and not fine thread, so that's going to change. I got a chrome cover that once I put on here. So later on, we're going to have this chrome cover that goes on here like this. Covers up your master cylinder. For now, we have to have that off so we can put fluid in it and do everything else we need. Excuse me. But we do have to have hardware to hold it on with. So, I need some chrome hardware. This customer wants chrome. So we'll grab a couple of chrome washers. Right there. Now these are regular washers, they're pretty thin. See, they're really, really thin. I like the thick ones. I'm going to go with some thicker ones. Alright, it's just a bag of Gardner Westcott HW washers, which are hardened and thick. They work a lot better than the thin house ones do. So there's your thin washer and there's your thick washer. Same basic diameter. Slightly smaller, but pretty much the same thing. This is heat treated. You can torque it pretty good without dimpling it very much. These here will dimple like any crappy washer will. They're just shiny. So these are a lot better. They cost more, but they're better. So we use the good ones. So over here going to my hardware kit. Okay, these are the crappy ones. I don't use much out of this container. I don't like this container. Okay, I'm going to use those two washers there. I need a chrome bolt, so it's the longest one in the container. I need a coarse thread because it's going into the frame. That's the longest one. So let's see if it's long enough to do the trick. Okay, so we got a backing plate going to a frame, so we need about maybe this much more length. So I don't know if we can go a ½ inch longer. Maybe, probably not, but we'll try it. So we have to go back and get some longer hardware because this is the longest one that comes in those kits. So this way you get stock more than what comes in stupid kits because stupid kits don't have enough hardware. Ah, hardware. So now we can figure out what we want. Let's see, we need coarse thread, so we can go on this side of the drawer. Nope, that's fine thread. Coarse thread's on this side. Okay, so that's a little bit longer. Westcott, this is still sealed. And this one. That one's a little bit longer again. So there you go. 1/4 inch each time. One of those should work. So you gotta have some inventory to work on a bike. Otherwise you gotta stop every 10 minutes and get special order whatever you don't have. Oop. Yeah, I gotta drop it again. Alright. I'm gonna try this big long one. That's my preferred one. So there's that. Okay, you. Thick washer goes on you. This you. Put some Loctite on this one. Yeah, I think that'll be plenty length. Hopefully I can tighten it up. If not, I'll have to put a little thin washer on there to take up the slack. We'll see. Don't forget to put your spacer. See, now it got real short. See, I like to have more length than that. That's not very much holding power. Alright, so that one's a little short, so I'm going to try a little bit longer bolt than that one. It's a 2 3/4 inch one. We'll try that one. This one might be too long to use. We'll see. Alright, where'd that washer go? Found a little hole to hide in, right there. Just enough it wouldn't come out. Okay, let's see how good we do on this one. I'm going to take this back off again anyway. But okay, it's tightening up. There we go. Okay, the long one tightened up, so good. Okay, check our alignment. Alignment looks good. So, check your alignment this way. Looks pretty close. Works straight. Push it straight in like it's supposed to. No binding. And you come up from this angle. And the same thing. You want to make sure it works freely this way. So you can see the spacers in here. So that's what you want it to be. You want to make sure everything lines up perfectly. If it doesn't line up, you have to fix it. Okay, I gotta try to get that brake line on there. More than likely, I gotta take the cylinder back off to do that. So let's see if we can cheat and make this go in there. I don't see that happening. Way too much tension on that custom line I put on there. Let's know what bolt we're going to use though. The easiest way to put the brake on is to get it going right now. And that was about as easy as that. It stopped. First thread. Evidently the chrome don't like each other very well. nice interference fit with all the chrome. So we have to kind of just put on one thing at a time. The bend is so tight you can't get the wrench on here very well either. That's a whole nother problem. Okay, that got tight. Alright, take that off so you can put all set of parts back on there. Okay, so we got our washer, bolt, washer. And now the plunger won't fit. I'm gonna force it. Gotta force everything on this job. The bolt actually started halfway decent, surprisingly. It is kind of shocking. Okay, we're going to do a full mock-up with the correct part. See on there. Of course, that doesn't fit for squat. Yeah, it's way off. Figures. Okay, we need a nut for that, so I have to get me a 3/8 nut. There's a 3/8 fine threaded nut. Lock nut, of course. This works better with the offset. You can get in here like this. See how it clears. Of course, it hits on the fender a little bit if you're not careful. Okay. Tighten, not quite full tight. Looks like the bolts are missing. They're supposed to be in here too. That's always another problem. Tighten this up. Good and tight. Let me come over here and get the brake line tight. Okay. Alright, it's getting pretty damn tight. Hopefully that's what it needs to make it work. We'll find out, I guess. Okay, so now we got a problem with the footboard not fitting. So we have to deal with that now. Down elevator. And we'll go on this other side. So right now we have a problem with this right under here. It don't fit. Tripod a little shorter. Okay, so we're off on the alignment of this quite a bit. So what I'm going to have to do is bend it. So I'm going to take a crescent wrench, stick it on there like this. Take another crescent wrench and I'm going to bend this one. Then with this flimsy ass towel and crescent wrench will take this load, so I'm going to have to stop and get something better. Yep, there it goes. Okay. So I permanently bent the board a little bit. So now you can just push it in without having a manhandle look really bad. Let's see, where's my wrench at? Push the bolt up a little bit. Okay, I was going to keep this from going down. It doesn't want to go in the hole for some reason. That's the whole nother problem. Okay, we're able to get the nut to start. Hopefully that'll pull down with no problem. We'll see. Appears to be going. Nut's tight. Footboard's loose. Yep. So the bolts, it's bottomed out on the threads, and the footboard is not low enough. So it's going to take a flat washer and rock washer to make this bottom out correctly. Now you put a washer on the other side and lift the board up depending on where you want the board to sit. So if you want more angle on the board, you leave the washer out. If you want to make it more flat, you put the washer in. So you have some adjustability in it. Now the other option is you try to machine this shoulder up a little bit higher so you put more thread on it. And do it that way. Make sure I'm not hitting on anything that matters. It's a pretty thick washer. I think they had this on top. I don't particularly want to put it on top. And I don't think one washer is going to be enough to let it torque down. It appears to be getting tight. Alright, that appeared to do the trick. Looks like there's just enough room to maybe put a lock nut in there, but I probably want to use a flat lock washer. Okay, so the footboard's on. Appears to be clearing everything. I don't see anything here that's not interfering with anything else. So you got to make sure there's no issues with the brake pedal hitting on anything, or just hitting on anything like that. Appears to be good. Now we're going to go ahead and tighten this down the rest of the way. Okay, that's full tight. That one's full tight. And I'm pretty sure he did that one. Yeah, it's not moving. So it's definitely full tight. Alright. By the way we don't use. Okay, so everything on there is tight. And for now the brake pedal and all that seems to be working correctly. So that's a good sign. Not a total loss yet. It looks like a motorcycle now, the board's on it. Now to put the cover over this, we have to loosen up the nut over here and this bolt. And then this here covers with the slots, you'll just slip down at an angle, slide right all the way down, and you tighten those two back up, and then your cover's on. But to check the fluid, you have to have the cover off, obviously. Alright, so we're going to worry about that later. They want us to use .5 brake fluid, the good stuff. So use only .5, the good stuff. See? We'll let the owner screw up his chrome by getting the label off. So we got some nice severe duty. This is Ultima, but I also use other brands. Just make sure it's good quality brake fluid, high temperature, both boiling and full boiling pressure. It's two different things. The wet boiling is your key number. So the gasket's already stuck in the master cylinder, so that's good. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of fluid in here. And I always poke two holes in there, one for fluid out, one for air in. So it doesn't make such a big mess. You got more control over what's coming out of the bottle. There you go. You want to keep the lid on your bottle because moisture does go to it. Now, .5 is doesn't like moisture too much, but 3 and 4 love it. So now we're just going to pump this a little bit and see if we get any air. I don't know if you can see in there at all. So you just go a little bit at a time, let it sit. You can hear it go sucking air. So you don't want to move the pedal very far, you just barely move it. Pumping a bunch, just all that does is foam it up, aerate it. And a lot of times I'll bleed it with my finger over the hole here before I put the line on it. But this one's so hard to hook up, I didn't do it that way. As long as you're seeing air bubbles coming out, it's a good sign. See all the air coming out? We want the air to come out, so that's what we're after. If you don't have no fluid coming out, leaking on the floor, that's good too. So I'll give you see it a little better. See, I get a whole bunch of them come up at once. And see, I'm barely moving the pedal. I'm moving it like that far. All you're doing is just uncovering the air pocket in there. Okay, that's about it. See how all the small ones come up now? Okay, we found a round of air. So now the master cylinder is primed, it's full of fluid. Alright, that's it for now. Get the phone.